In this video, I'm going to go over what's new in IBM Copy Services Manager 6.3.18. 6.3.18 GA'd in June of 2026. As you can see, there's 7 things I'm going to go over today, and we'll just start going over one by one. All right, the first one is a Flash Systems feature. So Flash Systems has the ability to, within a Flash Systems grid, migrate a partition between 2 different storage systems. So you can either migrate the source partition or target partition, but you can migrate these partitions. And some of the reasons you might want to is maybe you're upgrading a hardware, or maybe you need to do some load balancing. But whatever the case, this is a neat feature that you can move the partition, and with those partitions, the volume groups will move as well. So in CSM, because we manage the replication for the volume groups, or the snapshots for the volume groups, we had to do some handling to make sure that that happened seamlessly to you, the customer. So now with 6.3.18, if you move a partition from one system to the other, under the covers, you may see some changes in CSM because Flash Systems uses an HA relationship in order to do that migration so that there is no application impact. And you'll see your HA relationship in CSM, but in the end, after the migration is complete and you've committed it, the session will go into the new state, showing you the new, either if you source or target, whichever you migrated, show you the new storage system within the CSM session itself, and happens automatically. In addition, as long as you have 912 microcode or higher for Flash Systems, we will update the scheduled tasks as well. So in 912, they added a UUID for each of the volume groups. That UUID gives us a unique ID across all of the Flash systems, so that we know that if this volume group moves from one system to another, it's still the same volume group. And so with that, we can tie that to the scheduled task. And if you're issuing a scheduled task to a given session, and that volume group migrated to a new system, which changes the name of the session because the session is based off that source storage system, we will automatically update the scheduled task to point to the new session. So hopefully everything goes smoothly in the migration, and boom, you're up and running. Don't have to do anything in CSM. It's all there for you and handled. All right, the next feature is another Flash Systems feature that is policy-based high availability. So they've had this for a while now when they have partitions, but we in CSM never actually had a mode for just handling HA. We handle PBR HA, so that's replication with the high availability, kind of your 3 storage system solution. But we never handled the single HA relationship with the 2. And part of that because there wasn't much to do there in terms of management. Your HA relationship is there. It's either highly available or not. And you're writing to your volume group. It's either and it's highly available. There's nothing there for us to do the failovers. Nothing for us to do that. It's all handled automatically. Well, with some of the new features we put in, we decided you might actually take advantage of it. So we added in PBHA. And I'll talk about those newer features in a minute. I've talked about in previous videos, but I'll talk about how it applies here. But just to show you what it looks like, the picture on the right-hand side there, we normally in a PBR setup, we have a H1 and H2, a local site and remote site. But in this case, for just HA, you'll notice we still have that setup. And the reason why we still show those pictures is because we still use the same session type. We've changed it from an asynchronous policy-based replication session type to a generic policy-based replication session type. And with that, you can see the same kind of information, management system, secondary management system, but in this case, you won't see any H2 systems. And the reason why we kind of did this too is because you can convert from one to the other. So if you have an HA policy and you end up putting in a remote box somewhere and add in that to make that a PBRHA, this same session will absorb that in. The H2 system will start showing up, and it's just all kind of seamless to you. So take note that, don't if you just straight HA, you won't see an arrow between the sites showing there. You're only seeing the H1 site. But the HA, the highly available status, you'll see H1 HA status enabled. That's what you're looking for here. We're managing that. You can even issue a change to the preferred management system through this session if you want to, kind of do that swap if you want to. But yeah, now you can manage it. Now, what the features I talked about were involving snapshots. So you can actually issue a snapshot to this session. And we will handle it automatically for you. You can schedule it. You can do multiple snapshots, and you can take advantage of highly available snapshots as well. Or if you don't have highly available snapshots, this session will help you manage that as well. So under normal cases, if you didn't use this session type and the volume groups were highly available, you would have to know which of the systems is currently the preferred management system, the primary management system, and issue the snapshot command to that one. Now the HA snapshots would get copied to the other one, but if you had a swap condition, you would have to know to start issuing it to the other system. With CSM, you don't have to worry about that. Set up a scheduled task against this remote copy session, and CSM knows which one's the actual management system and which one's the secondary management system, and we will direct that snapshot command to the right system. So in my opinion, this makes your management a lot simpler when you're dealing with the straight HA environment and snapshots. So take advantage of this. It's now in the 6.3.18 release. All right, the next one has to do with the scheduled tasks. So with scheduled tasks, you can invoke external scripts. And in the last release, we had a customer that said, well, we'd like to see kind of in the summary in list of actions, a little bit more information prior to 6.3.17, so 6.3.16 and earlier. It would just say issuing an external script to server, blah, blah, blah. So in 6.3.17, we made it so that we at least showed the script name. So it started saying running external script yada yada.sh on server blah blah blah. Well, in 6.3.18 we implemented the full idea request from the customer, and we gave you the ability to put in a description yourself. So it's a customer defined optional description. You don't have to put it in, but if you put it in, you can put in whatever details you want. And in the pop-up, like I'm showing there in the bottom right hand picture, it'll say run external script on server yada yada with the following description, and it gives your description. So this will help you more easily see exactly what the whole task is doing and all the steps in it. Right, the next one is tied to ZOS. So this one's a little difficult to explain, but let me try. So CSM can connect to one or more Z systems, and maybe in a sysplex, same sysplex, might not. We can connect to multiple ZOS systems. Each of those ZOS systems are connected with TLS encryption, and that is all defined by the ZOS system side itself. So it's the one that has to set up the socket, the listener socket, and sets up what TLS is actually enabled. Well, as customers are starting to move to TLS 1.3, our default is currently TLS 1.2. But as customers start moving to TLS 1.3, we've had this request because they've migrated some systems to TLS 1.3, but others are still at TLS 1.2. It's not an easy process to set up everything all at once. And so the issue they had was CSM in our ZOS client.properties file, you can define the protocol, but it was only allowing you to specify either 1.2 or 1.3, didn't allow you to do both. And so it was off of that, what's in that client property, that file, that it would try to connect to any of the systems on ZOS, on the CSM server. And so now in this release, we modified it so you can add on that protocol property a comma separated list of values. So you can say TLSV.1.3, comma TLSV.1.2. And what that will do is we will attempt to connect to the Z system with 1.3 protocol. But if that system hasn't been set up at 1.3, it will then try 1.2 and hopefully then connect. So it will try, by putting in this order like this, it will always try to connect to the highest protocol. So if that system supports 1.3, it's going to use 1.3. But if it's not, then it'll fall back to the 1.2. So this will allow you to connect to multiple Z systems, each with different protocols based off of how they were configured. So hopefully this helps with that environment. All right, the next few remaining work items I'm going to talk about, features in this release, all are tied to automation. So the first one is event handling. So today we have email and SNMP events. Though you can get those, and emails have different categories. However, those kinds of events aren't really good for programmatic interfaces. So interfaces calling, say, the CSM REST API. A REST call is very, one-sided. You have to query and poll, but querying and polling for status against any server, including CSM, or any application including CSM, could have performance impacts. It could have, delays in getting the responses. And so what we did in this release is implemented webhooks. So webhooks are really that event handling for application to application management. And what you can do in there is go into the settings, alert notifications panel, and there's a new webhooks navigation on the left-hand side there. You can add a webhook, specify the URL that CSM needs to send the event to. You can specify any headers. So if you need any specific headers to call your application or automation, you can specify that, one or more. You can specify authentication protocol. So if you don't have one, you can specify none. Otherwise, you can use basic, which is user ID and password. But we even support tokens. So if you want to put in a token, you can specify token and add the token there. Then in the event category section, you can actually say, give me all events, and weed them out, filter them out yourself as you get them. Or you can say selected events. So maybe you are a product that relies on threat detection events. CSM does pick up on threat detection events for flash systems, ZOS, and coming soon, the DS8000, once it starts throwing them. And so you can select threat detection events. Once we get that event, we will throw it to this webhook, and your application that's listening for that threat detection event so that you can do your own actions will get that automatically from CSM. You don't have to pull. You don't have to pull the hardware. You don't have to pull CSM, and you can act on that notification. So hopefully this is building up your automation framework a lot better, making it more robust, and helping you with that. All your either applications or automations. All right, the next one is tied to that, in the fact that today we have basically two ways you can call our REST API. First way is you can always specify the user ID and password. And the second way is you can request a token using the user ID and password. So the issues with that is a token is very short-lived. The session token only lasts 2 hours by default. And once you hit that, you have to renew again using the user ID and password. So if you're using automation, this becomes programmatic, because either you have to store the user ID and password and always use it, or you have to get a token all the time and do all that handling. So what we added was, in this release, what we call personal access tokens. If you're familiar with like a Git repo, kind of the same concept. You as a user, the user that you want to set up this longer-lived token for would log into the CSM GUI. In the upper right-hand corner, you actually see who you are as you logged in. You hover over that, and you'll see a manage authentication dropdown. And you click on that, and you'll get that little password and authentication at the far right of this picture at the far right. It's a little pop-up. From there, if you click Create Personal Access Token, you'll get a prompt. It'll ask you how long you want this token until it expires. And I'll talk about the management of that expiration in a minute. But you'll set that. It'll give you a token, a long, kind of tokenized string, very secure. You will need to copy and then use within your application. Now, fair warning, just like on the Git repo, once we display that token on the GUI, you can copy it once, and you better store it and save it somewhere, because you cannot come back into the GUI and pull it back up and copy it again. You cannot get the admin to pull it for you, or user admin. If you lose it, you'll have to come in and reset the token or generate a new one. And so you'll take that token, and just like you're using a session token today, you use the XAuth token header on your call, put that token in, and make the calls. That token will then take any user context. So whoever who created that token, whatever their authorization is that the admin or user admin gave them, that's what they'll have access to with that REST call as well. And that means even if the user admin or user admin changes the authorization, so gives them less access or maybe gives more access, anytime they go and issue a command using that token, it will pull the latest authorization and allow whatever is allowed for it. All right, so now that you have a token, you have to have some sort of management of it, right? So a admin or user admin has to have some sort of control. So while they can't see the token, there's few things that they can do. One is they can enable or disable this feature. So by default, it's disabled, so not anybody can just go in and create a token and start using it. Admin or user admin has to actually go in and enable this. Second thing is they can go in and set the maximum expiration, right? So you don't want any user to go and create a token that lasts for 10 years. That's probably going to break any of your security protocols. So admin or user admin would come and enable it, and then set whatever that maximum value is that you can have for this kind of token. The default's is a year, I think. And so you'll set that, and then that's when the user goes and creates it. They can't set their expiration any higher than that. The other thing a admin or user admin can do is they can revoke a token at any point in time. So they can go into the Manage Personal Access Tokens pop-up from the administration panel. They'll see a list of all the users that currently have a token. They can see when the expiration is, what the expiration number of days was, when it was created, etc. And then they can select one or more and revoke the tokens as they see fit. So if there's a security issue or some sort of panic, or maybe the expirations, your max expiration had to change, they can go in, remove all of those tokens. So very secure, very controlled, but gives your automation a little more flexibility, so you're not having to always handle this. Now, I definitely recommend that you secure your token still. So find a way to secure it in a vault or some sort of mechanism like that. But this makes your automation a lot easier. Next feature, same kind of concept, but a little bit more secure. So what we added in was the ability to do that connection with a client certificate, so that we have that MTLS authentication. So mutual TLS gives you a certificate to certificate kind of authentication using X509 certificates. But it kind of works the same. So whatever user is going to use the certificate will go into log into the CSM GUI, go to their username, hover over it, click on Manage Authentication. They'll see the pop-up on the very far right, but this time they'll click on Manage Certificates. That's going to also prompt them for the number of days for expiration, and then it will create a certificate. Now, what that does is it creates that certificate and stores it in a trust store on the CSM server, while then also allowing you to download the client certificate. So you'll click the download button at that point. That will download a .pem file. You'll take that .pem file, and then you can use that in a header X client certificate call whenever you use the REST interface. Now we'll note that this does not do any of the handshaking. This is just the MTLS part. So you will still secure your ports all the same through that, the CSM GUI. You can go to the settings and advanced tools, and then upload a certificate, set a trust store that will secure all your ports on the CSM server. That is still securing your TLS and encrypting all your communication for the REST interface. This is just making sure that you have a secure X509 certificate that is being checked on the server side in that trust store. Say, is it there? Was it created correctly? And allowing to use it. So secure your certificate still, but now a little more secure than, say, tokens, and perhaps allows you to have a little bit higher expiration. Management, though, is the same. So admin is the personal access token. So admins and user admins, they can enable. It's disabled by default. They have to come in and enable it, but they can also set it at a max expiration on certificates, and they can also revoke any certificates at any point in time. So if they revoke someone's certificate, that certificate would no longer be valid. You can call the server, but it's not going to work. The user will have to come in and create a new certificate, or if they can, if the certificate hasn't support hadn't been disabled. So passwordless. This provides pure passwordless authentication, much more secure with those X509 certificates. So with that, hopefully you saw that a number of these were ideas coming straight from you. Please open the ideas. We look at them all the time, and we're happy to work on them. So thank you for listening. Thank you for your time. Hope you enjoy the 6.3.18 release.